story is a little bit different from everybody else's, because we left here on the Tuesday to go on a world cruise, to fly over to Los Angeles and Fort Lauderdale and to cruise home. Before we left, we spent 2 full weeks irrigating. It was so dry. We irrigated a farm we had so that cattle that were on that farm would have some hope of surviving while we were away. And so it takes you about 36 hours to get to Fort Lauderdale from here. So went to sleep, slept, woke up and got the computer hooked up, and my daughter's got a sign, wow, rain. And we're hallelujah, that's all we need. A bit of rain will set us right and we can relax on the cruise home. So, but of course, it didn't stop raining. And then I think we might have been in a worse spot than anybody here in the Boyne Valley, because we never lost communication with anybody. We could see all the television coverage of the floods in Bundaberg. We could check straight into the weather reports and see what the forecast was. We could keep on hearing everybody's Facebook comment about anybody who could get access to the computer. And we have a property down at Ngurin, in the Ngurin floodplain, and we had 56 head of cattle on there. And all I could think about was the cattle. I never even worried about fences or anything. I just thought, what's going to happen to those cattle? Because I've lived here all my life, and I knew the stories of that flood of the 40s and 50s that went over that flat 3 times and took everything out. And we've lived with that fear that once we put cattle on there, that could be a possibility, and we get blocked off anyway by the Degalgal Creek. So I was trying to find out what happened to my cows. And I got somebody's photo the first day when it first went over. I could see the cattle standing in the background, but then that night, the next time we checked, with the neighbour who had his irrigation all washed away, his big irrigator, if it had gone, we knew the cattle had to be gone. And then it took my granddaughter 4 days to be able, before she could get access. We were trying to get hold of them there in Gladstone to come out and see what they could find out. We asked people here what they knew. Nobody would give us any information. Then Shane Mossman came up. He said, it's an effing mess. And I thought, that's all I need to know. And then somebody sent me a photo, and we had a yard and all Thompson's hay bales filled it, about 30 odd bales sitting inside the cattle yards that we had there. They were all knocked over, and these big bales of hay inside them. And they showed that his feed trough, his a tractor, a bike, all sitting down in the middle of our paddock along with all these bales of hay, nearly a kilometre away from his place. But by the time the kids got out, 4 days later, we did have 11 cattle, 11 of the 56 had walked home. And we were a month getting here. By the time we got home to Calliope, the flood was up again, and we were stuck 2 days in Calliope, so close and yet so far. And knowing by that stage that we'd had no fences left, our pump on our irrigation had gone underwater, our fences were all gone, no cattle. 15 more cattle had been found. They found 15 down at Boyndale, and they were in the group, if anybody else has talked about it, they walked some home. They walked cattle home and to the dairy, because we're next door to the dairy. And so we got another 15. One of those subsequently died though. Once it got home, it apparently taken in water or something they take in, and she was sick and she died. And then it took us for the next while, a couple of months, every time Milton mustered, we'd get 2 or 3 more back out of a paddock, 2 or 3 more. We're still 16 short. We had big bullocks that were ready to go to the market when we got home, to the sale yards. And we've only got 2 of those back. 12 of them are still gone. Makes me sad now. They come up into our lucerne. When we go watering our lucerne, they would come and talk to us over the fences. I had a bull that had come up and just be patted, and he's gone. And the 2 that we got home, we had to send them off to market, and they made 1,200 each. So there's a lot of money sitting down in the bottom of the dam there somewhere from cattle. We still haven't got our internal fencing done. We've only put up the outside fences. Yeah, and the lucerne all went, so we've got that rejuvenated again, and it's coming up, so we ordered it today and it's looking good. But I think what was hard for us was being away. Everybody else went through all that bonding that sort of came where you all worked together, whereas we were away with no one to talk to or care for us, sort of thing, or know that you were suffering so badly. And then when we got home, it was old news to everybody else. You know, so it made our situation a bit different from everybody's. And I even lost my poor old dog in it. She was an old dog, but just with all the rain, she got crook and died too. You know, and it just seemed like what else could go wrong? You know, the kids didn't want to talk to us. You know, it just seemed to be bad news after bad news.
Yeah.
We'd had Kelvin's cousin had been out to mind the place while we were gone. Well, it just wrecked him. He could not believe. You know, he said by the time when he could get down eventually to the farm and to just see that there was just nothing there, no cattle, no fences, no yards, he couldn't cope. You know, he went back to town. He had to stay in town for 10 days before he could get enough strength to come back out. He just felt so responsible, you know, and it was nothing to do with, it wasn't his responsibility, but he was just so devastated. It took him that long to get himself back out here. I think one of the strengths for who we are here is that so many of us have several generations of us. We haven't gone away from being that caring generation where you cared for your fellow man, cared for your neighbour. You didn't have to be paid, you volunteered to do things. And I think it's that getting in and just doing things for each other without wanting to be paid, or you just do it because that's what you got to do. And everybody helps each other. And I think that's what makes a community, is that coming together and caring for each other. And to me, I get off put when somebody wants money for it, or to be paid, rewarded for having helped. I just do it because that's what you do. You know, I help you today, you help me tomorrow. Yeah.
That's what makes a community in the bush.
Yes, I think so. That makes a bush community. I think we're still in there caring about each other and making sure that we look after each other.